You know, the topics that I bring up are really things that I know that people are dealing with. I know that we're having some issues with, and that I really want to help. And so today I hope this helps somebody. But before we get into all of that, guys, now you know Candyology Coaching Services is about being a love coach. I'm a love coach. I'm a relationship coach. I'm a life coach. I am a marriage coach, and all of those great things. But how Candyology got started was that I became a bedroom candy consultant 3.5 years ago. And guess what, y'all? It's convention time! It's convention time! I can't wait to see all of my beautiful bedroom candy sisters and brothers. That's right, it goes down in Atlanta, beginning on Thursday night, y'all. We are in Atlanta and we're taking over. As you can see, that was Bedroom Candy Convention last year, 2018. That's with my Dr. Rachel. If you are wondering how I got my sexuality certification, I got it through Dr. Rachel, which is the picture on the left-hand side. She is a doctor, a sexpert. She's an actual physician. She created the Dr. Rachel Institute almost 4 years ago now. Almost 2 years ago now, and offered it to Bedroom Candy, and it was the best thing that I've ever done in my life. I was born for this. I was created to be that person. And then on the right hand side, of course, you saw was Miss Candy Burris herself, my business partner. She does not call us employees. She does not call us independent consultants. She calls us business partners, and that's exactly what she is to us, because at the end of the day, she wants all of her consultants to win, and everybody that works with her or works underneath her, she wants them to win. So I'm so excited to get this opportunity for 5 days straight to 4 days straight to just be around and soak up the energy of my Bedroom Candy sisters. And if you are a BK consultant or thinking about being a BK consultant, please reach out to me. Because I love to hear the stories from my sisters, and I would love to help you get in the business. So let's get right into it. Today's topic is it's called Deal With It. And so how losing a parent can take its toll on relationships, and I'm specifically focusing on significant other and marital relationships. However, I think it's a great point to hear how you should help somebody through if you're just being their friend. And so my special guest today, y'all are in for a treat. Let me just tell you, her name is Shaunie B. Now, first of all, let me tell y'all how I met Shaunie B. We met through, she is a comedian, right? And we met at one of the events that I went to, and I fell in love with this chick, right? She is just a free spirit. I love her. She crazy, and there's nothing that she can do about it, okay? So, but she invited me to be on her show. I don't know, maybe it's been almost a year ago now, and We rocked it out for an hour and a half almost. Maybe not an hour and 45 minutes. We rocked it out and was talking about sex and relationships, and we was just chopping it up, and it was only supposed to be an hour show, and hour and 45 minutes. So let me introduce you to Shaunie B. Her tagline is, if you're cool with your girl, fool with your girl. Everybody's favorite homegirl, I'm sorry. Class clown turned comedian, Shaunie B has been entertaining people since she popped out of her mother's womb. It is a proven fact that laughter is good for the soul, and a laugh a day keeps the doctor away. Therefore, it is mandatory to give you your regular scheduled dosage of laughter. Making sure you get that news you can use via Facebook Live every morning on Shaunie's World. Also giving you new music on SoundCloud and video skits, video commentary via YouTube. You never know what will come out of her mouth, what exclusive hairstyle she will have, and she does change it a lot. What exclusive hairstyle she has, or what outfit she will throw together to make you say, wow! I love this woman's style. Just know you will get a full dose of petty, a scoop of realness, and you have to stay on your toes for the unannounced and the unpredictable. So, when we come back on Power Play Network, my girl Shaunie B will sit and be next to me. We'll be right back. We are back. You are watching another episode of Candyology. I'm your girl Candy J, and whoop 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 whoop. Hey. To my right, hey, to my right, hey. Oh, it's Shaunie B. Tell them about yourself, good.
You did a good job, you know. Like she said, you never know what type of hairstyle your kid will be rocking. But I'm Shaunie B. If you're cool with me, fool with me. Holding it down for M-Town, which is Memphis. Holding it down for Arkansas, stand up. Trinidad, big ups. Other than that, I'm just your old average girl, everybody's home girl, just kicking with my girl Candy. So I appreciate the offer for coming up here, man.
Yes, I'm so happy to have you.
It's been a long time.
I know,
it's been a long time.
Yes. But I think, you know how God works. It's supposed to be a certain atmosphere that you have people on your show, and it had to be the right topic for us.
Most definitely. This is very relatable, so I'm glad you offered me the platform to come on and talk about it, because I think people don't know how to talk about it. That's the problem. So,
and it's so crucial. So I'm gonna just dive right in. Tell me the story.
All right.
What happened?
What happened? So, my mother, Valerie Campbell, stand up. She lost her battle to cancer, man-made disease, might I add. But she had a few other things going on. I think mild dementia, Parkinson's, and then what she would have called it the big C. So there were signs that I saw that wasn't sitting right, but you don't really hold those deep conversations like you should. You start seeing different things with people, and the first thing I noticed was her weight. But I didn't even think cancer, because you naturally see the other things that come with cancer. You're like, oh, that's cancer. But I didn't see those signs. But I saw her weight. She went from like a size 12 to like a size 6. Then secondly, she would always make up an excuse about canceling doctor's appointments. So I was like, okay. But my mom's grown, so I stay in the kid's place. So I was like, okay, Mom. Then the hair. I started noticing her hair was thinning out. But at the time, my mom was like 70. So I was like, okay, this is that time frame where you would start losing your hair follicles. But then she'll start making up excuses like, oh, Mom, where your eyebrows at? oh, she's from Trinidad again. She's like, oh, I'm going to try to arch my eyebrows, and I cut it too deep, so I cut it off. And I was like, okay. But to me, I'm like, right? I'm like, this doesn't make sense, because you ain't no cosmetologist. What you doing cutting your eyebrow? And then it went from, she would wear these little cute little wigs, and she's like, can you line me up in the back? And when I would take it off to line her up, her hair was just so thin. I was like, okay, is this alopecia? So those were the indicators for me, but it wasn't until the year I had my son. She came to visit, of course, and that weekend she just was so ill. Like, she was moving slow. She wasn't hungry. She was just weak. So I started researching things, and I said, well, why is she moving like this? So, you type something in WebMD, whatever it's called, WebMD, YouTube, Google, and those things pop up like cancer. Those other things pop up. So I was like, well, wait a minute. But when it was an indicator of I need to get her to the hospital, is she would have a bowel movement, and the smell was so distinctive. And that's when I was like, this isn't right. Something is wrong. So I started Googling that, like, what does it mean if there's, this and that.
So wait, she hadn't told y'all she had cancer?
No, because my mom is like the type of, she's a strong woman. So she was a nurse, an RN for like 30, 40 years. So her thing was, I don't want nobody to take care of me. I'm going to be all right. So I'm the type, I dig deep. I pay attention. Shout out to the Pisces out there. I pay attention to things. And it wasn't sitting right. So when the bowel movement added to the loss of hair, added to the lost weight, I was like, yo, this is deeper. And it just was weird. I have a friend back home. I call her a sister from another mister because she's dear to my heart. But her name is Sean, and she was always like, yo, she ain't looking right. So my cousin as well, we were all like, no, something ain't sitting right. So when she came to visit me and I did the research on the bowel movement, I set her a doctor's appointment. That was the week of my birthday. And when I walked in the room, the guy was like, we're going to run these tests. We're going to do a colonoscopy on her. When was the last time you had this exam, Miss Campbell? So she was like, oh, I did that. I can't remember. When they researched her paperwork, every appointment she had, she canceled. She never went for a colonoscopy. She went for her breast exam check. She went for her women's wellness check, but she always canceled the colonoscopy. And it wasn't until then when it made sense. So when... again, I had my newborn with me, fresh at motherhood, whatever. Went back and I got the information. It was just like, sorry to tell you, Mom got stage 3. I was like, what? I said, where did it skip from stage 1 to stage 2? Like, he was like, no, this has been here a while. So I'm sitting there. I'm just like, again, week of my birthday, just like, wow. I'm like, whoa.
So she knew she was sick.
I think my mother knew she was sick. I personally believe that. Rest her soul, but she was just that type of person. She was not secretive, but if it wasn't your business, she didn't tell you. Or she would tell each friend a certain story, which was, she only told one friend, which is my godmother, shout out to Auntie Vina. But she would tell her one side, she'll tell me another side, she'll tell my cousin another side, she'll tell Sean another side. So we were like playing jigsaw puzzles, trying to figure out who knew what. And it wasn't until I got the stage 3 diagnosis I was like, now it makes sense. So from that moment, they were saying we got to go ahead and operate on her colon, because that's what she had, colon cancer. So they set up to have an operation to cut off her, I guess, colon and a part of her intestines, and it went through successfully. Thank God. But like I said, my mom was 74 at the time, maybe. So they wanted her to go to chemo, and I've just always been like, yo, chemo works if you're younger, but when you're past 60, it's like your organs can't handle that radiation or that medicine. And I talked to her and I said, do you want to do it? And she was like, I really don't. And I said, it's your choice. So that was March. Surgery was like in April or so. She was recovering with me up until like June. As June came, the doctors kept calling, hey, Miss Campbell, you need to come do this chemo. So I'm still sitting there like, Mom, we're doing good without it. I'm like, okay, cool. Well, they finally was like, no, you need to do it. We see some spreadage or whatever, and you need to do it. So she said, you know what, I'm going to go back home. When she went home in November, it went downhill. She went from walking and talking to bedridden, unable to talk, unable to speak.
Wow.
It was pretty rapid. So from...
It's okay, boo. We knew that this might happen.
It's okay. It went from March, April, May, June. She was okay, playing with my son. And then July, August, still moving around. She started chemo. It ate her up. Her fingers turned black.
Oh, wow.
She lost all her hair. She was sitting in a bed. She couldn't move. She couldn't talk. I mean, just, had a nurse come out and change her. Sean was there to help. My auntie came down. My auntie Lana from New York came down. It was horrible. And for a very long time, I blamed myself because I was like, she was alive. She was moving. And when the doctors put that chemo in her, it killed her. But, I mean, that's just the way the cookie crumbles when the government creates something to kill people, and then they charge so much for medicine for you to get better. So I just was like, okay. But overall, it just created a sense of awareness from me. And, I went out and did my proactive thing and got tested. And just when she left, I started seeing things like she knew she had it. I mean, I saw, supports that kind of confirmed, her counseling appointments. It was evident. I was like, okay. But, it's one of those things you want to live with it and be happy because you're living with it. Like, you don't want to interrupt that nature because, like, you see what happened. Chemo dead. So I think she was comfortable enough to just say, hey, I'm just going to deal with it. And I was told that colon cancer, you can live with that for about 10, 15 years. So I think that's exactly as long as she's been living with it, because I've been seeing those things for a few years, like 5, 6 years. I was like, but she lived a good life, I feel. But it just was uncomfortable dealing with that grief. Like, oh my God, what if she wouldn't have did chemo? Oh my God. And overall, it still may have happened in that same manner.
And I think that's something that people don't think about, the grief that on the other side of things, if you're pushing, your relative, your loved one to go ahead and take this chemo, but you don't know what the outcome is going to be. You just don't. And they say it may help you, and then it may not. So, we've had plenty of people that are in remission and great, but you don't know how your body may react to it.
That's very true. And shout out to everybody that rang that bell, because your motivation, some of us have lost people, but you are proof that it works for some people. Mm-hmm. It just didn't work for my mom, and I appreciate those doctors that kept it 100 with me. There's a lot of people that push pharmaceuticals, and they know there's no turnaround for it. It's a money-making industry. So when you had the doctor that told me it's stage 3, we got to do something, I respect him. Mm-hmm. It wasn't okay, it's going to be okay. No, he gave it to me straight, no chaser. So it was difficult. It was a difficult pill to swallow, but it has changed me as a person. I don't take anything for granted, and I cherish my temple. So we doing the health thing now. You make sure we do right.
So my question to you would be, for those people that are they know they sick, mm-hmm. and no matter what the disease is, whether it be lupus, cancer, diabetes, whatever your sickness is. Right. How would you suggest that they tell people, or at least tell their loved ones? Because I think that some of your guilt comes from the fact that your mom didn't tell you. That's number one. Right. And then number 2, you wanted to push her to do something that may make her better or not. Right. But that's what the doctor said. Okay, let's do this chemo. And she didn't want to do it at first, right? And then you kind of push that to go. What would you say to people that haven't told their loved ones or need or get to that point where
it's not easy?
They know they're sick.
It's not easy because a lot of people have like I did with my mom. Like, you see things and it's not comfortable. Mm-hmm. But a lot of people, regardless of race, they're scared to go to the doctor because you're scared of what if. Mm-hmm. What am I going to do? I don't know how you would tell somebody, to be honest. Mm-hmm. You just have to know your mate, your spouse or whatever, because that's that I got to step up now. What are we going to do to be preventative, or what are we going to do to react?
And that's the word I'm looking for. Preventative and
Right.
proactive.
Right.
Because I feel like, and me being the type of person that I am, if you tell me that something is going on with you, I'm going to push you to figure. Let's figure this out together. Let's plan it out together and see what we need to do. Because I would rather be prepared than unprepared.
There you have it. I tell people every day, you got to be ready, so you ain't got to get ready. But the way that the food is going, the way that stuff coming through the atmosphere, it's just a lot of us could be sick and not know. Everybody doesn't show those symptoms off the top. You're not going to lose your hair in most cases. You're not going to have that lost weight type of situation. So I go get my checkup every year. But I've learned that doctors are telling you don't go every year. They're telling you, oh, come back in 2 years. Go every year, people.
Right.
Because if you could, go every 6 months. Because it's you don't want to have that point where you think you're okay, you collapsing. I've had so many RIPs put in front of people's names that aren't even past 30.
Right.
And it's not all shootings. Some of it's health related, heart attacks, aneurysms. It's crazy. So I want to use this platform to promote. It's not easy telling somebody. That's always going to be the case. You just have to have that heart to heart with yourself. Go talk to your doctor. Get you a doctor that cares. Don't get a doctor that's pushing medicines on you that you don't know. Know your body. And once you get that understood, have those difficult conversations with your spouse or your mate. And then from there, life insurance.
Right.
That's no lie. Get it set up. It's uncomfortable. Get your wheels set up.
Right.
Get your expectations set up. Get it on video if you can. Get the notarized paperwork. Set it up. Because when you're grieving, you still got bills, Gina.
Right.
So what
Absolutely.
you gonna do?
So my question is, what's your husband's name?
My husband's, he goes by Mac.
Okay. So what was Mac's role in all of this while you were going through this?
That man is my, whew, that man is my backbone. That, like most people say, you can find a soulmate. That's my soulmate. He get on my nerves, but that's my soulmate. He too lost his mom. He lost his mother to asthma, and his mother passed first. So that struck hard because both of our families were like this. It's so very often that both families come together like this. So we were grieving his mom, I think a year before mine's passed. So he knew how that felt.
And I just want to bring to light what she just said. She passed from asthma, y'all.
Complications with asthma.
Complications from asthma. It's a big deal. Okay, continue.
It's a big deal, right? And it at that time, both myself, I was pregnant, and his younger sister were pregnant. We're both pregnant with sons. Shout out to that. Because the family had a lot of girls, so we were excited. But his mom passed a few days after that grandson was born. So that hit home for everybody. So I think that just dealing with his grief, even though it was cancer related for mine, it was a known thing. Like we knew how to do it. He assisted a lot with my mother. There was moments where I was still at work and my mom would fall, and that man would pick her up. Like you really have to find you somebody that has your back like that.
I agree.
A lot of people get married for the wrong reasons, and when it hits the fan, when it hits home, and you got somebody to support you like that, you got to make whatever is wrong right. So I appreciate him. I don't know if I ever told him that, but
well, he definitely knows.
he know now, sure. Because we have a very fun relationship. Emotions doesn't run in our relationship. So for me to cry is crazy because I don't show emotion. But when it comes to that type of respect, I can't do nothing. But he definitely understood because my mom loved him like a son. My mom loved that barbecue. My mama just loved him like a son. So when she got sick, he was there. And when his mom got sick, my family stepped up to the plate too. So I think just coming from a background where we were already supportive, it wasn't hard for him to catch me when I fell. It's crazy how things happen and then your life change. And then you have to adapt to it. You can't stop being you. You just have to change how you are. So he stepped up as a husband. He stepped up as a friend. He stepped up as a provider. So shout out to you.
So I want to talk about a little bit of my story as well. And I want us to kind of compare some things in just a moment. So, as you know, the whole point of me asking you to do this show was because I also lost a parent. And so my story was a little bit different. So my father lives, I've been living in Texas for almost 20 years now.
Okay.
My father lived in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. And he lived with my stepmother. And I had just talked to him, this was in March. I had just talked to him because it was the week of my birthday. Okay. And he was asking me if I was coming home. And I said, no, it's just not right. I think I'll come home in April and not March. So, we'll be all right. We'll work it out. And he was like, just let me know if you need anything, blah, blah, blah. Because I was going to bring his grandson,
Right, right.
And so we talked for a long time. We got off the phone. And at that time, my father and I talked at least twice a week. Right. So I knew that in maybe 3 or 4 days, I was going to call him again, or he was going to call me, and we were going to just shoot the breeze like we always do. Very close relationship. But on March 22nd at 2 a.m. in the morning, I get a phone call.
Right.
And I didn't answer it at first because I actually happened to be just like waking up and looking at the ceiling for a second. And I was like, I'll go back to sleep because I was checking on the baby.
Right.
But I saw my stepmother called me twice, and I was like, she don't call me.
Right, that's awkward.
For what? Right. Well, when I called back, or when I actually answered the phone the third time, it was my stepsister saying, Roger passed.
Yeah.
And I said, what?
Right, Roger who?
I just wait. I just talked to him on Sunday. Wait, what? I'm so sorry, Candace. Roger passed. What do you mean? I don't understand. I don't comprehend right now.
Right.
And she said, I'm so sorry. Jackie's, that's my stepmother. She's, talking to the paramedics right now. I'll let you speak to her in just a second. She's trying to calm herself down, blah, blah, blah.
I can imagine.
And I just hung up the phone. And so I looked at my husband, and I was like, my father just passed away.
Right.
And so, like, I'm sitting there in shock and disbelief, and he's just looking at me. I said, my father just passed away.
Right.
And he was just like, okay, I'm so sorry. At that point, he took the baby in the other room, and I got on the phone to go back and talk to my stepsister. And so she said, hold on, here's mama. And so she told me that, he had gone to, came home from work, had said he wasn't feeling too great, but, they had an epidemic of the flu going around at the time. So she was like, okay, well, let me make sure that you eat, and then we'll put you in bed, and, we'll go to the doctor tomorrow if you're still feeling bad, blah, blah, blah. And so she said she got up in the middle of the night to go use the restroom and checked his, just was like, oh, you feeling okay?
Yeah.
And he was cold.
Yeah. Whew, uncomfortable.
And so she said that's when she called the paramedics and all of that good stuff. And she's just talking to me, and she's like, they're trying to get me together, but I'm going to call you back. So my stepsister calls back, and she's just like, well, mama's just going to go ahead and push everything. She wants to have the funeral on Sunday.
What day he died?
He died on a Tuesday.
Okay.
And she said, well, let's go. She want to have the funeral on Saturday. Well, today's 4 days before my birthday. 23rd, 24th, 25th. 26th. That's my birthday. And so she was like, oh my God, Candace, I forgot. And I said, yeah. And so, keep in mind, my husband, who's now my ex-husband, is sitting in the living room listening to all of this, but he ain't really said anything too much to me. Okay. And granted, maybe he didn't know what to say.
He didn't know what to say. Yeah, it's hard
at that point.
Right.
But
where's the compassion? Right. Yeah.
So I sit in the living room. I'm crying my eyes out. trying to just piece everything together. I've called my mom. You know, they're not together. So I'm calling my mom, telling my mom what happened. I'm calling I call my sister cousin, Sandra. Calling my sister cousin, telling her what's happening. She's like, okay, what you need, you know. And Jackie calls back, and my stepmother, and I calls back and was like, okay, what day can we expect you? You know, and I'm like, I'm on the first flight out tomorrow. We're leaving. And so I turned to my husband, and I was like, okay, so how are we doing this? And he was just like, well, I don't think I'm going. Wait, what? What do you mean you're not going? Well, you know how my job is? This is my father, dude. What are you talking about?
Right.
What are you saying to me? Well, I don't think I can get off, and I can take... Well, there's things that are called bereavement time. So, what do you mean you're not going? Okay, so even if you don't go tomorrow with me, maybe you can fly out on Friday evening and be there with me for the funeral on Saturday, which, again, is my birthday.
Right.
No, I don't think I'm going.
Did he at least offer to keep your son in the moment so you could go and peace up? See, yeah, that's why there's the ex. Hey, ding.
So, one of my best friends, hey Toya, showed up at 5:00 in the morning. She was like, "Wait a minute, I don't know what." Azelle went to, my ex-husband went to work, and me and the baby was at the house, and she showed up at 5:00 in the morning, and was with me the whole day. And still, when I talked to his mom, she was like, oh, well, yeah, maybe it's something with his job. Maybe, is it money-wise? Can y'all, no, we can afford to go. And Jackie is paying for our flights anyway. So it doesn't really matter. Even if we couldn't afford, she got us covered.
Right.
So what was the excuse of you not going? And so me and at the time, he was 1 year old, Colin, got on a plane in a daze and went to Florida to bury my father. And my ex-husband checked on us. A
lot?
No. Not a lot.
All right.
Right. So the support
wasn't there.
Looked totally different
from our story. From
your story. You know? Even on my birthday, he called to say happy birthday and are you all right? You okay? No, I'm really not okay. And my best friend that lives in Florida, she was taking care of Colin while I was trying to take care of everything else.
Are you the only child?
I'm an only child.
That's a lie.
I forgot that part in the story. I'm sorry, guys. Yeah, I'm an only child. So I didn't have any siblings to help out with this.
There's a lot.
My stepmother and I were pretty much doing it by ourselves. And really, my stepmother did most of it because she was there.
She was there, yeah. I'll have to get out that house, though.
You know?
I have to get up out that house. I have to get rid of the bed.
So, and that was going to be my next question to you. So, the way that my spouse did and the way your spouse did were totally different.
Right.
They looked totally different. Because I'm sure that your spouse had conversations with you, right?
We knew my mom was dying. I mean, but even if we didn't, if we would have got that call and she just randomly passed, Aquarius aren't that emotional. But when it's time to have your back, they got your back.
And he's an Aquarius.
Well, what day is he? Is he a January Aquarius? Because he damn sure no February. But I don't know.
He's a February Aquarius.
Okay, well, you know.
So is my son, actually.
Oh, girl.
He's a January.
But so is my son. Funny enough. It's one of those things where I think people don't know what to say. And I've even caught myself in those situations when I see the RPs go up. I don't know. Because I deal with emotion differently. I use humor to deal with mine, and not everybody can cope. So I'm disappointed in how he protected you in this time. But at the same speed, he probably just didn't know what to do or say or how to react. But that doesn't. There's other ways. Send a card.
So shout out to all of the Aries in the world. And if you know
Aries,
you know Aries, a lot of them, not all, will tell you what they need from you because we're very direct people.
Oh, I know.
Very, very direct.
Don't I
know?
People.
So at that point, I was telling him exactly what I needed from him.
He just didn't put it out.
He just didn't.
Which I'm surprised because they react when you tell them. They don't react without you telling them. So, maybe he just didn't care enough.
And I don't really think it was that. I think he just didn't know.
He doesn't know how to react.
I don't think he knew how to react. I don't think that he knew what to do because he wasn't also in tune with his emotions either.
Yeah.
Which a lot of Aquarius.
I'm telling you, it's facts for them.
So, here's the thing. There are 7 stages of grief, right? And one of them is the first one is shock and disbelief. Did you go through that at all? Shock and disbelief? Or did you just, because you saw it coming, it wasn't there?
I will tell you that there's a book that they give you. Damn it, Gina, that book is real. So I don't even want to scare you people, but the book is blue. If you ever have somebody in hospice, they're going to give it to you. I'm telling you now. It gives you turn by turn of the life and death that's coming. I read the book. I read the book. You understand? The book is on point. So when you...
What is it called?
It need to be called Life and Death. The book is real. And I ain't saying that to be funny. I'm just saying the book is about 15 pages, maybe 20 most. It's probably this thin. But it tells you each page of when they're going to go. So when you ask me about grief and shock, when I read that book, I just, you try to see if someone's going to prove something wrong. Oh, it just proved me right. So... I had to count down. I had it. I saw it. I read it. I felt it. I knew it. So shock was the shock. I was actually going back to Dallas because I had to leave my job to go take care of my mother. Reason why I don't like working for people. I don't want to work for nobody. I got 5 days for a person I've known for all my life.
Right.
To grieve for 5 days.
There you go.
So the grief for me set in when, like I said, my mom lost her ability to talk. So the last thing I told my mom, I have a brother. He's handicapped. He's disabled. And I think she stayed alive for him. She knew I was all right. She stayed alive for him. So the last day I spoke to my mom and she responded to me, I said, if you want to go, I prayed about it, go. She blinked, and the next morning, by the time I got back on the road to go back to Dallas, I got the call.
Wow.
So grief and shock set in when I read that book, but when I touched my mom's hand, I knew it wasn't going to be long. So there was no more shock. It was like rejoice because she wasn't suffering no more. So
Right.
So for us, it's different because I had that moment of closure, whereas you got the call and you had to close it. So I don't know.
Mine was straight shock and disbelief.
Right.
But it only lasted until I landed in Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
It was home.
And once I got there and I saw him, it that dissipated. And immediately I went back. I went into the second stage, which you don't have to go into all of these stages in order.
Right.
But I went straight into denial. Like, nah, that's not really.
That's not really. He gonna call me.
No, he looked real different. I walked into the house and he has a little man cave in the house.
Right.
And so as soon as I crossed the threshold, I was like, he gonna come out and be like, surprise! Hey, what's up? How you doing?
No.
Hey, Daddy Monkey. That's what he called me, Daddy Monkey.
Daddy Monkey.
And that's not what happened.
Yeah.
So I immediately broke down.
Right.
Immediately. And she was just like, and she's one of those kind of not sure what to do at
right, like me,
point.
because I'm like that.
I mean,
what I do?
Should I touch her? Should I not?
Right? Should I hug her?
And granted, you should always touch me. You should always
message.
Yeah, that part. And I went to the denial place. Like, no.
He coming out, right?
He coming out the room, right?
Yeah.
He coming out the room. Then when we went to the funeral home, I think that's what set me into guilt. Because I was like, I just told him I wasn't coming home.
Right, we beat yourself up.
I didn't. I told him I wasn't coming home, and if I had a, touched down that week, maybe this all wouldn't have happened.
Right.
Did you ever go into that guilty stage? I think you said something about that a moment ago.
Yeah, if I would have reacted years ago when I noticed the hair loss, I would have caught it. If I went through her mail a little more, we was always protective of our mail. You didn't go through nobody's mail. But if I would have known CCC meant cancer, some research connection, then I would have found that out years ago. But yeah, that grief is something else. Denial is something else. All of it plays a role in your depression, and you just closing it out.
Which, hey, we ain't quite there. But anger and bargaining is usually another stage of grief, right? So anger is one and bargaining is another. It was anger that set into me when I saw him in the casket, and I kind of was like, how dare you leave me already?
Right.
You know, what do you mean you're leaving me right now? How dare you? And if you know, and that's we can do this for another show. I have a whole another show on the relationships with your parents and how they impact into your future romantic relationships, your work relationships. I have a whole show on that part. But if you knew the relationship between me and my father, we were super close, but we had been separated for some time. So then when we got back together for like maybe 4 or 5 years, like I was like, this is not enough time. You know, I had Colin Gabriel, who was one at the time, and I'm like, you didn't even get to see your grandchild grow up.
Right. You left me. You left me hanging.
Set in.
Yeah.
And then I started bargaining with God. I mean, like, God, can you just give him back real quick?
I got some unfinished business, God.
I promise that I'll do right if you just bring him back for just a little bit, maybe 6 months. Just
let me have him, right?
You know, I know that, you know, you told the dead to raise up. I know that can happen. Right. So why can't I just go and no?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that anger set in. I'm angry now. I wasn't angry then. Because family ain't shit.
Say it again.
Family is this camera on to see me? Right. Family ain't shit. Let me say that with emphasis. I had more friends step up than I had family.
That part.
And that's what drove me to go get counseling, because I was so angry that I hated people. And even though I was making y'all laugh, I was still crying behind the scenes, because now what my mama built, she left behind, and there's nobody strong enough to hold the ship.
Right.
So now I'm a mother, a sister, and all of that. I'm a wife. I'm wearing 50 hats. But I promised her I would take care of this for you. So for me, it was a lot of on my shoulders. So it built anger,
right,
and then it built, like, I don't know, resentment. Because now I'm like, dang, selfishly, you left me with your plate.
Right.
I have my own life, and now my money's gone because I'm taking care of those things that you had obligations with.
Right, because you were taking care of her house.
I'm still taking care of her house. Shout out to GoFundMe. Look up the link, because I'm trying to save her house, because it meant a lot. I was born in my mom's house. My mama died in her house. And I want that house, but I can't afford that house. And the family that she took care of for years have not stepped up.
Right.
So now I'm angry. So when you say family reunion, exclude me, because I don't have family.
And I always say something that divides people is weddings, deaths,
yes,
births,
hallelujah,
the start of a business.
What you said, they ain't gonna support you.
I mean, all of those things, and so that doesn't surprise me. But what does support look like, though?
It don't come from when some. Let me tell y'all something. When somebody die, you gonna see who really got your back. When somebody gets sick, you gonna see who got your back. When you do great things with a business, you gonna see who got your back. And sometimes they say blood is thicker than water. Shit, I got a lot of water that's overflowing this blood. But again, get it in order. Get your will in order, y'all. Get your will in order.
And I think one of the things that people are just familiar with is the fact that we go through depression when we lose somebody. Yeah, depression, loneliness. We reflect. You know, I went through a depression when my father passed away, because now and this is where that all rolls into. I was ready to divorce my husband at that point. I stayed with him another 3 years, but I was ready to divorce my husband at that point.
Right, because he left you.
Because he pretty much, I didn't get the support that I needed, and I went through a depression. So I feel like I was losing that relationship at that time, and I had lost the one parent, because my father and I weren't close. I mean, my mother and I weren't close.
Right.
I felt like I lost the one parent that cared, that gave a damn, you know?
Right.
And so it takes a toll on your relationships, because if that other person does not know how to give the support and the love and the things that you need in that moment,
right,
it can tear you guys apart.
Most definitely, because you need that. Yeah, you need it.
And so I have a few tips that I would really like to talk about, even though we're not done with our conversation, but I really want to talk about a few of these tips. Number one, show up and be present. And what does that look like? Sometimes that just means that I'm here, I'm sitting next to you, I'm just, doing what hey, it's going to be okay.
Right.
It's going to be all right.
Know that person's comfort zone.
I'm just sitting here listening to you. I can vent. That's on there as well. But be present and in the moment as your significant other, as the friend in that relationship. Because every relationship should start with friendship, and you should be able to call that person. To me, you should be able to call them your best friend.
Call me.
Yes. And so, show up and be present. Ask the person, how are they today?
I ask y'all every day.
How are you?
How are you?
It's a simple question, but that can change in a blink of a moment when you are grieving.
Don't ask me because somebody else asked me. Ask me because you want to ask me.
Thank you.
Stop doing that, y'all. Check on your people.
Just at how are you today? And it could be, and I think sometimes people don't want to ask that question because they think that they're going to open up a can of worms and they're going to
it's a loaded question.
Out. But as my significant other going through a grief, you should always ask me that question, whether you think you're going to open a can of worms or not. Because obviously, if you open up that can of worms, I need to spill it out. And I need to pour it out.
I tell people, treat me how I want to be treated. Don't come to me crying. Like, I don't operate like that. So you can call me like ugly ass girl, and that's how we communicate. That's how you ask me how I'm doing, and that's what makes me feel bad. Treat me like I treat me. I'll be all right.
Right. I have a friend that says, "Hey, big head, what's going on?"
Right.
That's their term of endearment, and they want to know how I'm doing.
My posse, we call each other and we roast all day. Be like, girl, did you see how you was crying at that funeral, girl? You had snuck him out there. You be checking, but that's us.
Right.
That makes me feel like I'm still here. I'm grounded.
Exactly.
So, love me how I want to be loved.
Listen more and talk less. Listen more and talk less at that given moment in that time frame.
Right.
There are going to be times that we want to hear what you have to say, because maybe you may have an encouraging word for us. You may have a scripture for us. But at that moment in grief, most of the time people just want you to listen.
Yeah.
Don't try to fix it.
Don't.
Just listen.
But people don't listen. Just don't listen. No, they listen to hear what they want to hear. Sometimes you just want to talk to somebody.
Right.
That's why I talk to a counselor, because sometimes you talk to your friends, they don't listen. I talk to my counselor, get you one. It's the best thing. It changed my life.
Hello.
Sometimes you can't talk to other people because they don't have that loss right now, so they can't relate.
And that's another thing that I found, that people that had not lost a parent, and I'm specifically talking about parents right now, but people that had not lost a parent could not relate.
Oh, it's a different type of grief.
Not relate at all. Just like I think if you lose a child, it's a totally different type of grief. And they just could not relate. And even talking to the counselor that I talked to, she couldn't relate because she hadn't lost her parent either. Right. So it was, and shout out to all of the therapists, counselors, and coaches, because knowing to refer a client. You're not going to be able to help and save everybody. Know when to refer, and it is the best thing. It doesn't mean that you have failed that person. That means that you're going to help them win. Right. She didn't know when to help me go ahead and push me on to somebody that could. So it didn't help me that much, but I found somebody else.
I love my counselor.
It was amazing.
I love my counselor.
Right. Practice empathy or sympathy. Even if you have not been through it, just try to think of a time that maybe you lost a pet, or maybe you lost somebody else, or maybe you lost a job that was significant. Something. Practice that sympathy and empathy, because I think it's a lost art at times.
Right. It's hard
because people don't think about it. But you also have to know your triggers for your spouse as well, and that's a whole nother show.
Yeah.
Offer something tangible. At times when you're grieving, you forget to eat.
Yeah.
You forget to eat. You forget your shoes sometimes. You forget to brush it. Offer something tangible. Yep. If it's just, I'm gonna get you a McDonald's $5 gift card.
Something.
Or I'm gonna drive you down the street. Or I'm gonna go change that pamper for that baby because
that's where he stepped up at too. He
yes.
stepped up in that department. I appreciate it.
So Mac really stepped up with your son.
He still steps up. So yeah, like I said, it was different. So I really didn't have time to cry because I stayed busy. Because when you take that too much time to cry, you become depressed. You become that angry person. So I stayed busy. I brought my comedy back immediately. A lot of people are like, girl, no, because my mom wouldn't want that for me. Laughter's good for laughter's my medicine.
Hello.
I can't promise it's the rest of y'all's, but it's mine. So
I always think so. I always think
man.
The laughter's
I'm always laughing at something.
Keep things normal as possible.
Right, I did say that.
Keep things normal as possible. If your routine was to drop off your son in the morning for your spouse that's going through that grief, keep doing that.
Most def.
If you were making love 3 times a week, keep that. Right. And let's talk about that for a
girl,
moment.
yes, because it's tough.
Let's talk about that. Your libido goes down when you are stressed, especially a woman.
Mm-hmm.
And you wear so many different hats. Did you guys struggle in that particular area when you were going through?
I'm not going to say he struggled. I struggled because, like I said, you have 50 different things you have to do, and you're still sad. So, but I'm nasty. So, I made sure I did what I had to do. I did. Hallelujah. So I made sure I had to stay afloat and keep, because I'm really big on maintaining relationships. Mm-hmm. So when you stop doing certain things, people step in.
Right.
So I always wanted to make sure that I just didn't become that hermit and just stayed in a dark room. I still wanted to look cute. I still want to be sexy for him and make him feel like a man because he still deserved it, because life comes, death comes. So I just want to stay regular. Like you said, keep your normal pattern, because those are things that made me happy.
Right.
So I kept the pattern. It may not have been 6 times or nothing like that, but I kept the pattern. I kept the pattern.
Was y'all having sex 6 times?
No, but I mean, I was nasty. I was nasty. Real nasty. Nah. I just say typical. I kept it on the same schedule the best I could. But he respected it.
Right.
Right. So.
Right. So, so when did you get to the stage of grief with acceptance, though?
I have my days, because like I said, when I'm paying my bills and I still got to pay her bills, I'm back in the grief mode. When I'm calling places, I got to keep reminding them, hey, customer service, I told you 50 times my mama died. Why are you having these difficulties? I got to explain it. It brings back grief. When I look up and I see family living their life and nobody's offering not even so much as calling, it brings back that grief. It brings anger. But most of all, my mom got to see my son. So that brings that light. So I'm just like, okay, like I've lived so many of the promises I made for my mom that she's gone, that I'm happy.
Right.
So the grief is always going to come. So I tell all my friends, treat me normal. If you want to talk about mama, that's fine, cool. But all the people that stepped up when I needed them helps me stay grounded. My husband, my son, like my auntie Leonard, Sean, my cousin, even my brother. It's some people that are in my life, but for the rest of them, I just, hey, when it hits home for them, like I told my counselor, then they're gonna understand.
Right, and the thing is, you got to be patient with people that are grieving too. You don't have the right to tell people how long it should take to get over it. You know, I have a friend that her mom died, I don't know, is it 10 years now? I think it's 10 years. Right. And still on her birthday, on certain Mother's Day, in certain instances, she goes back to that place where she was when she first died. Like, it literally overtakes her.
Right.
And so, nobody can tell, some people would be like, she'll be all right, it's been 10 years.
Yeah, no.
No, it's okay.
See, my mom died on Christmas, the day after Christmas. So when people lose people around holidays, y'all gotta be extra compassionate with us, because I'm not excited about Christmas. I actually take off a week of work because mentally it's like, damn, I lost my mom and dad for Christmas. It's supposed to be a day I'm rejoicing. I'm sitting here crying, but trying to be a good mother to my son. So I normally have comedy shows. Shout out to Rashawn. I normally have comedy shows during those, her birthday, which is March 29th, my birthday, or Christmas. So I'm staying busy. So as long as I know my mom sees me living my dream, then I'm like, okay, you still got no moment you break down. Right. It used to be a song called, it was by Sadie and Lil Wayne. It was called Meet Me Halfway or something like that. And every time that junk came out, I had a New Orleans beat to the back, I would cry. I would bawl. I'd be like, I'll be twerking because it's a twerk song. But I would be crying, and I never knew why. But it's because you have to get it out. Sometimes it comes and you can't control. You just got to get it out. But I'm living my best life.
Did that song come out around the time she passed away?
It like Caribbean music kind of has that up tempo. So I think my mom loved to dance. She would say, "Give me room." So when I hear songs that make you dance, I'd be like, "Damn, my mama would be twerking to this right now." Right. So it gave me that. But I'll still be twerking and I'll still be crying. But it was a happy cry.
But your mom would be happy about
it. Oh yeah, this is her stuff.
Most Trinidadian mom.
Yes, soca music. So it kept me grounded. So when a lot of people ask me questions like, "Why are you always so happy? Why are you always checking on me? Why you care so much?" Because my mama instilled that in me. So I instill it in everybody. Right. So yeah, man.
And it's just different. So that's almost our time. Shaunie, tell people how they can find you, boo.
Check me out this Sunday. I'm gonna be doing a show. Shout out to Boogie be in the building. I'll be hosting an event, and other than that, if you don't catch me doing shows either on Rashawn's platforms or Boogie's platforms, you can catch me every morning. Well, I'm sorry, I got a promotion. You can catch me every afternoon around 12:45 or so. I'm going to be doing Shaunie's World, where I'm giving you positive commentary on life situations and news. If you missed me there, you can catch me on my YouTube channel, Shaunie B Entertainment. Just look it up in the search bar. Then you can catch me on my Instagram, Shaunie_B_Entertainment, and Facebook is Shaunie B ENT, or the website where you can get all this merchandise and fan gear. Bop bop bang West Side. You can catch that on. Oh, look at y'all fancy. Y'all can catch me on ShaunieBEntertainment.com. But I have a place for everybody to come support the kid for free. So I'm everywhere, man. I'm buzzing in the city. Keep me up, man. Like I told my mom, you're going to see me in those spotlights. You're going to see me, man. Check me out.
So you can check her out on all those different platforms. You can check me out on Candyology Radio on YouTube. All you have to do is type in Candyology Radio. You will find me on YouTube. On every other platform, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Candyology CS. You know, that stands for Candyology Coaching Services, Life Coach, Relationship Coach, Sexuality Coach, definitely Marriage Trainer as well. As you can see, we talk about all kinds of things on Candyology.
You got the girls out.
Yeah, I know. Not next week, because I'll be at the Bedroom Candy Convention, but the next week we will have my girl Savon from Bay or Boot talking about dating in the DFW Metroplex. Ooh. She has a show called Bay or Boot, and it is a dating show, and you might have seen some people that we know. We'll tell you about that soon. All right, so this has been your girl Candy J with another episode of Candyology. Wishing you love-filled days and orgasmic nights. Have a great day.
Yeah, baby. Yes, baby. All right. Good thing I wasn't saying nothing crazy. I know.